So this is episode 23 of Oluswole, the podcast and budget. Excited to welcome our guest. She's an established netballer and future politician. Awos, what's good?
Hey Timmy, thank you for inviting me today.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for coming on. It should be a cool episode. I just wanted to get into how we know each other. So, like many of the guests on the podcast, like we went to the same high school or secondary school, or depending on what you call it. You joined in year 7, so 6th grade, and there's a point where you left for a bit, like at the beginning of year 8, but then you came back, and then you stayed till year 13/12th grade. You graduated together. There was a point where we were in the same house, which is like think Hogwarts. It's kind of like that, Yeah, and you're at LSC right now, doing a Bachelor of Science in Politics and Economics.
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. Politics and Economics at the London School of Economics. I mean, that's pretty dope,
Yeah, the Politics A-level and Economics A-level.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you were on that track from day one, numero uno. So I just wanted to ask you about the last year, which has been crazy. And we asked a lot of the guests on this podcast, because a lot of the guests on this podcast are college students, so they might have similar experiences or different experiences. How was your last year been? Because you've just been at home. Unlike most people, you weren't able to at least visit your uni in person for a little bit.
Honestly, in terms of academics, I would say it was hard. Definitely like not being able to have study friends in real life and go out with people and exchange ideas, notes and stuff like that. Especially during the exam time, which was 2 months ago now, which is crazy. A lot of people, obviously you understand how important it is to have a good group of consistent friends that you are able to talk to and stuff. I did the exams, and after I completed them, I heard that people helped each other and everything, and I was like panicking because I didn't have anyone to help, anyone to work with. So I was gutted, but thankfully, like the exam went well. My grades, I got it back recently. In terms of social life, I'm glad I had my friends, like my really good close friends. They were still in Abu Dhabi as well. They didn't travel, so I got to see them pretty often. But it was hard socializing with people online, people in my university. I was able to like form a few connections with a few people that I'm excited to meet next this coming year. But obviously, you can't compare friends online and like actually being able to see them. So that was quite tough.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I'm not trying to be super, I don't know, meta, but I feel like the human race was not. The human race, I feel like, was built for, social interaction. Like, we're not built for talking to people through a screen, which sounds hypocritical because that's exactly what we're doing right now. But I mean, like, talking to people through a screen as an alternative to actually interacting with them in person, like, that's weird, bruh. Like, because of Zoom, I mean, every interaction you have is planned in advance. It's like, yeah, let me just schedule a Zoom happy hour with you. It's like, it's not organic. Like, you walk into the dining hall and you see them, you're like, hey, how are you? Like, it's not meant to. It's definitely kind of whack. Sorry, what'd you say?
Yeah, pretty robotic. Like, let's talk now. Let's call it. Yeah.
For sure, yeah. Like I said, like you also mentioned, like you were at home, and what did you do to kind of get rid of that, like, staying at home boredom?
I had a very like busy first year, like most of us, but obviously I had time, like breaks. We have really long summer breaks, winter breaks, for let's see, 4 months, 3 months, and all that stuff. So I had quite a bit of time to do whatever. And I usually do activities which I really enjoy, fun activities which are quite random. For example, well, I guess you might or might know, but I really do love painting. And that was something that I was super keen on continuing after high school. So I usually only do oil painting, but I randomly decided to do watercolor for my dad's birthday a couple months ago. So that was quite exciting, a little like something new. And also sewing. I started sewing a couple months ago. How it happened, I just had a sewing machine at home. My sister got it 3 years ago, which no one ever touched. So I was like, I'm going to be the first person to use it. And I made a couple of scrunchies. And right now I'm working on a dress, which is a bigger project, but I'm super, super slow. So I don't know
Mm.
how long it will take me. But yeah, I'm just trying to fill my time doing whatever. That's quite exciting. I have a lot of kids at home, my siblings, so they just throw around ideas. Let's do this, let's do that. And I usually say yes. So
Mm.
yeah.
That's pretty cool. I mean, someone like me does not have an artistic bone in my body, so like, I mean, what watercolor paintings, all of that, even sewing. Like, I don't know how people do that because, like, that's just I don't have the facilities to do that at all. But I mean, that's pretty impressive. Creating something from scratch. I mean, that's not easy.
I'm not saying I'm amazing. It's just I do for fun. Yeah.
I mean, probably good enough, to make something wearable. So yeah.
I don't know. You say.
Yeah, but transitioning away from LSC, um, you're from Somaliland, right?
Yeah.
It's there's Somalia, which is the country, but then Somaliland is an autonomous region within the northern part of Somalia. It's been recognized as a distinct region from Somalia since the late 1800s, but it only broke away and declared independence in, I believe, 1991, and has its own currency, its own
Yeah.
military, passports, all recognized by the EU.
Mhm.
But a lot of people who are not from there don't necessarily know the difference or the distinction between Somalia and Somaliland. So how would you clarify that for them?
Well, like you already said, we are our own state. We're not recognized internationally, which is quite interesting because we have our own currency, we run our own elections, we practically do everything ourselves. We run as a country. And the way I distinguish it, we speak the same language, we're basically the same people, but um, we won our elections in a very democratic manner, and it's been such a peaceful country for many, many years.
Mm.
And actually, just recently, we had our parliamentary and council elections, and they were, like I said, very democratic. They were very efficient, and they were extremely inclusive. People, I believe, at the minimum age was 15 years old, so that's better than a lot of countries around the world. They were able to vote, and we had a lot of people participating this time. So over the years, we are progressing very, very rapidly, and I think there's a lot to watch for Somaliland.
Yeah, I think that's something that I read about because I like to do a little research before I have a guest in the pod. So I read that in terms of crime, Somaliland is pretty stable and pretty low key when it comes to that. Do you know the reason? Do you think the reason for that is because it's more democratic than the surrounding area of Somalia?
Um, we are it's a very peaceful country, Somaliland and Hargeisa especially. I've been there. I go there often,
Mm.
and everyone knows each other. And usually, if anyone steals something, the neighbor next door tells the next person. It's a very safe area for foreigners and Somalis themselves. The main
Mm.
reason I would say Somalia as a country is coming out of a civil war. It's currently still coming out of a civil war. Yet Somaliland, that we have already passed the civil war. It's been a few decades, 2 decades. We've already passed the stage of civil war. So that is the main distinction.
Mm. Yeah, I mean that's definitely a big factor. I didn't know that, but yeah, that's pretty interesting. Are there any unique cultural facts that you have about Somaliland that we should know? Put Somaliland, you know, I don't want to say put it on the map, but I mean like let people know more about Somaliland. Something unique.
You might know, but we have a lot of camels. Somalia as a country, I think, have one of the countries that have the most camels in the world, and
Oh.
we love eating camel meat. Uh, as part of our traditional dishes, most of them.
Mm.
What else? Love camel milk, everything related to camels, and a very vibrant city. Hargeisa is a very vibrant city.
The capital.
Uh, yeah, the capital.
Yes,
Um,
ma'am.
yeah, so if you ever want to visit, you can come over. We have like a nice little residential area, and honestly, I think it's a great destination for anyone.
Sounds like it. Yeah. I mean, I've never been to East Africa before, so that would be pretty cool. I've only ever been to South Africa and Nigeria, so yeah, it should be dope. Transitioning away from Somaliland, used to play. We said at the beginning of the podcast, you played a bit of netball in high school. You were on the team pretty consistently. How did you get into that? Because netball, for the audience who may not know, is a pretty British sport, um, and it's not really played much in North America or outside of British colonized countries. So, just tell me how that's like.
So I'm not sure how or why I wanted to start, but it was one of the sports that was offered in my primary school, the pro primary school.
Mm.
So I picked it up there, and then when I moved to Brighton College, they also had netball, and Miss Davis, no, Miss Davy, she asked me to try out for the team. And I think there's only one team at that time, a few girls.
Mm.
And ever since, I was really hooked. I wanted to play every single year. And I think it was year 11 where I decided that I wanted to join the Abu Dhabi national team. And that
Mm.
experience was honestly very, very memorable. I met a lot of great coaches, great team members. I was always so excited to go. The matches where we used to play with adults, and mothers and whatnot.
Oh
So
wow.
it's nice to find like make new friends and communicate with people that you wouldn't necessarily meet on a day-to-day basis.
Mm.
And yeah, in terms of the positions I played, I started off as a goalkeeper. I think Miss Davy wanted me to play goalkeeper, maybe because of my height. It does help when it comes to defense. But after I joined the Abu Dhabi national team, my coach asked me to try out for a role called goal defense. It's a much more active role. You run around a lot more than goalkeeper. And
Mm.
after doing that, I really knew I wanted to play goal defense more. And
Mm.
then again, a year after that, I wanted to do something new to keep it exciting. I decided to start
Mm.
shooting. So I started playing goal shooter, and I started bouncing between defending and attacking, and that just made me appreciate the sport a lot more, playing on both sides, defending and attacking.
Yeah, that's cool. It's nice that you didn't stay or limit yourself to just one position because, once you kind of have a reputation for playing one position, once you have a reputation for doing anything at a good level, like people think that's the only thing you can do, but at least you're able to showcase your versatility a bit, which I like. Question about the national team. First of all, I mean, that's pretty impressive, getting called up to UAE. Was it Abu Dhabi? Or well, UAE's national nation, so.
Well, it's not the UAE national team. It's the Abu Dhabi. So you can join, anyone can join it, but then they put you into teams. And I was put on
Okay.
the under 19, 18 that time. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's not for people. I mean, you're obviously not from Abu Dhabi, but it's for people who live in Abu Dhabi, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Yeah. Playing with grown women, how was that experience like? Were they more physical than the competition you face in high school, or how was that like? What was the differentiating factor?
It was fun, but they were definitely more aggressive in terms of
Mm.
their speech, very explicit, and you kind
Hmm.
of learn to bounce it off with them as well.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. Yeah, I mean, do you? Well, are those people like semi-pro though? Like, what's the skill level of those women?
It depends on what team you're on because you play with another team when you're, I guess, level. There are teams that play socially, so they're not. No one's really experts, but then as you move up, the level of competition gets higher.
Mm. As in, like, move up the age, like age groups.
Not
Okay.
only age, yeah, age and like there's B team, C team, D team, A team, stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That checks out. Were there any other sports you were into in Brighton?
Volleyball. I really like
Ah.
volleyball, but it sucks that there weren't any like teams I could join in the UAE. We
Mm.
did it in PE, which was always so much fun. But I really wanted to join a proper team, and I haven't been able to find that. So hopefully when I go to London, I might find a volleyball team somewhere that I can just do for fun.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you'd have a pretty good advantage in volleyball, given the height. But I mean, I'm sure you're very skilled as well on top of that. So, definitely be a valuable asset to the team. I retired from PE at the end of year 12. I paid my dues, dog. Like year
Mhm.
13. I know I'm outing myself for like year 13. I hardly did PE. I was like hardly there. But yeah, I mean, it's cool that you were able to be a little bit of a a two sport athlete in high school. That's a flex for sure.
Uh, Volleyball is just, I don't think, there are only a few really good players, but we all just hit the ball at each other. It was fun. Very, very fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So I want to transition to, I mean, what you do now. So summer vacation. This episode will probably come out like maybe late August. So I mean, it was. I don't know if that's summer vacation for you, but
Yeah, yeah, it is.
okay. Oh, you guys usually in the UK, you guys start later than we do in the US anyway, like October, right?
I start September 28th, basically October, yeah.
Yeah. So what are you doing to stay busy as of right now?
As of right now, I'm actually using a lot of my time trying to take up hobbies and go to events that help me academically. Trying to fill up my time in that way. So recently, there is the World Economic Forum. Held they held the Davos agenda, which was early this year, January. And I've just been
Mm.
keeping up with the articles they're uploading, especially about sustainable finance. And there are a lot of events that my university hosts and makes accessible for people who study online. So I've
Mm.
just been attending and participating in those kind of events.
That's good. I mean, making the most of the experience, even though it's virtual. I mean, I can't
Mhm.
knock you for that. I mean, that's only a good thing. Um, there's something you said that I wanted to pick up on. Oh yeah, you said you went to an economics forum. I just want to ask, what made you want to go into econ? Because I know you were really into that in high school. So like, why did you choose econ in college?
So I had a lot of my dad and my brother, they were both into economics. My dad has always, as a family, we go to the living room, we watch, economic films or just informative documentaries about certain economic topics. And from a young age, I've always been exposed to these kind of things. So naturally, when
Mm.
I went to do my A levels, I wanted to do I wanted to take economics, and then after I think I started global affairs, I'm really interested in politics and economics, so I want to find a way to put those two things together.
Mm.
And then when university started, it only made sense for me to pursue both of those two things together at the same time.
Mm.
And yeah, politics and economics was the way to go for me.
That's dope. So the economics and politics program you're doing at LSC, is that like a joint program, or is that something? Are those two individual majors that you just combine together?
No, it's a joint program.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, they go hand in hand, so that makes a lot of sense. You also mentioned Global Affairs Society, which is a club you started in you're 13, I believe. I remember we used to be in that English classroom. We'd be pulling up during lunchtime. I think it was on a Wednesday lunch.
Wednesday or something.
Yeah, good times.
Right
Was
before
that?
volleyball
Yeah, that's true. Well, right before that was before. Wait, volleyball? Was that?
PE. So we did volleyball and PE that time.
Oh yeah,
PE.
because we had PE on Wednesdays. Yeah, I mean PE, whatever that is. I don't know what that is. So yeah, it shows you how much I went to PE class in my final year of high school. But I just wanted to ask: was the reason why you started Global Affairs Society inspired by your love for politics, or like what exactly went into you starting a club?
Yeah, I like I said, I was really interested in politics. I've always been the kind of person to always want to know more, especially when it
Mm.
comes to affairs that is happening around the world. I always like checking multiple sources, reading, researching, and stuff like that. So I want to practically use my interest in a way to not only because we all really helped each other in discussions, and a lot of people who weren't even informed about politics or economics, they left knowing something new. So I think
Mm.
that was one of the main motivators for me, using something that I was interested in to help other people, and also, it was beneficial for me as well.
Yeah, you learn from other people. I mean, like kind of like podcasting. Like you learn from hearing other people talk about themselves and talk about their own opinions. So that was really cool. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie. Like yeah, I did learn a lot from being in those meetings. Sometimes it got a little hectic. You know how people get when they're talking about politics. So how did you go about managing those heated moments during the club?
Sometimes those heated moments are necessary, and there's a point where you have to stop. So it was really, at first it was hard to distinguish whether between those two things I was talking about, whether I want to make people stop talking or let the discussion flow.
Hmm.
But then I remember Lofty sometimes joining in and slamming on the table. So that was something that helped. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out Luffy. Yeah. Was there any other? I mean, you also were you in Econ Society as well?
Yeah. Yeah. For at the beginning.
Yeah, econ. I was in Econ Society as well, but I feel like it was kind of started. School finished early because of COVID, so I feel like Econ Society didn't really take off that much because we were just getting kind of busy
Started.
for A level exams, quote unquote. But I want to transition to the Oluswole Bowl. That's the part of the podcast where we ask you some off the cuff questions. There might be some related to what we were talking about earlier on, or there might be completely related. I don't remember if I said unrelated or related first, but I hope that shows up well in the recording. If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be and why?
Hmm. I think I would be a, a goat tree, and I think that's how you pronounce it. Very opposite to what I am. It's a very short one, um, and a lot of bush, a lot of branches.
Hmm.
Doesn't have a lot of leaves on it. I think that would be me.
Why is that?
Um, to be honest, I just like the plants. I use a lot of its leaves for facial masks and all this stuff. So it's my favorite plant.
Hmm. Natural ingredients. Um, I hear eucalyptus is also pretty good for face related stuff, but I'm no pro though. Um, Personally, I would probably choose. Do you know baobab trees?
No.
Do you know, like, I don't know, maybe if you were in Madagascar or something like that, or watching The Lion King, those really thick trees with those really thick branch or barks, and then the top part is really wide and it spreads like a long
Okay.
distance.
Imagine, yeah.
Yeah, they're just really dope trees to look at, and the name sounds cool, so that's the one I'll go for sure. Yeah, and they're big bodies, so that's dope too. Exactly, sturdy. What's the most important thing you learned in your life and why? We're going deep.
Hmm. I think patience.
Mm.
Want to elaborate. So patience. It's just something. If you don't have patience, then I don't think you can get through any obstacle or anything in life, whether it's waiting for something to happen, something that a reward that you're waiting for, if you want it to come quickly, it really quite detrimental to your health.
Mm.
Um, and just being patient in hard times as well. If you don't get something that you want, knowing that there's better things for you, or just believing in the divine time. Things will happen when it will happen. Just taking it slow. So
Mm.
patience is something that I think everyone should practice at every stage of their life. It's not something that only when you're old. That's something that you focus on. I think you should practice it when you're young, so it keeps you grounded for the rest of your life. Yeah, something we all practice.
It's factual. I mean, it's definitely easier said than done because especially when you're
Yes.
working towards something that you want to see the results quickly. You want that instant gratification. But it's definitely, as they say, as the old was it adage? I think it's adage. As the old adage goes, patience is a virtue. So you gotta stick to that for sure. Um, Honestly, I don't know how to answer to that. Like my brain would just go so many different places. But I think for me it would be keeping the main thing, which is like, whatever you're trying to accomplish, whatever you're trying to work towards. Like it might be a lot of outside noise and a lot of outside chit chatter, but it's important to just filter that out because it's not that important. And it's probably obstructing you from getting to where you want to go to. So I think that's probably the main thing for me.
Yeah.
Um,
I like
yeah,
that. Yeah. Prioritizing what really matters instead of getting lost in all these little things. Yeah.
yeah, you don't want to get lost in the sauce. If you get lost in the sauce, you can't breathe and climb out. That was some bars I was just spitting right here. But yeah, thanks, Al, for coming on the podcast. This marks the end of episode 23 of Oluswole. So yeah, thank you for
Thank
coming
you
on.
for calling me. I had such a great time talking to you today.
No problem. Yeah, this was a great episode. I enjoyed it too. Oluswole is available on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're also on TikTok. We're not doing the dances, but we're posting the clips there. So go run that up. And thank you guys for listening, and peace.